Joey Votto hit another homer, plus we have the Worryometer next on Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. Welcome into FBT in 5. As always, make sure to follow and stream us on Spotify. Today is Wednesday, July 21st. I am Frank Stanfield, joined by Scott White. And let's talk about Joey Votto, who went 2 for 3 with his 12th home run of the season, 65% rostered on CBS. Scott, you think that number is too low?
I do think it's too low. I mean, just look at what he's done since coming back from the thumb injury. These numbers don't include the home run he hit, the performance he had on Tuesday, but since June 8th, since returning, 281 batting average, 6 home runs, now 7, obviously, 863 OPS. That makes him the 9th best first baseman in head-to-head points leagues during that time. And before he hurt the thumb, we were talking about how good his underlying numbers looked, how maybe he seemed like on the verge of a resurgent season. And that seems to be happening in a way that's slipped through the cracks for a lot of people. I think he's pretty much must start at this point, much less must roster.
Yeah, I like Joey Votto too. Make sure to get him on your fantasy team if you need a first baseman. Let's talk about Touki Toussaint, who is a former prospect for the Atlanta Braves. He's still with the Braves, by the way. Up against the Padres on Tuesday, 6 2/3, 1 run, 5 strikeouts. He's only 16% rostered. Scott, looking to add Touki Toussaint anywhere, or is this just a wait-and-see approach?
Not yet. I mean, he's had good starts in the majors before, and ultimately it didn't go anywhere. His stat line in the majors for his career is pretty bad, and he wasn't throwing as hard in this start either, as we've seen him throw in the past. So that makes me wonder how sustainable it is. Coming back from injury, but he really had seemed to hit his stride at AAA before getting the call. His last 2 starts there, 6 innings, 2 hits, and 11 strikeouts, 6 innings, 3 hits, and 7 strikeouts. Seemed like maybe he was turning the corner there. So you can understand why he's getting this chance in the majors again. But it's going to take more than 1 start for me to buy into Touki Toussaint again.
Let's fire up the Worryometer here on Wednesday. And 1, as always, not worried at all. 10, I'm pretty nervous about this player. Let's talk about Jarred Kelenic, who went 0 for 4 with 2 more strikeouts on Tuesday. He has 8 strikeouts in 4 games since returning from the minors. Obviously, it's a small sample size. He's still 77% rostered. Scott, where is he on the Worryometer? Would you consider dropping Jarred Kelenic?
It's probably a 5 now. It would have to be a really shallow league for me to think about dropping him like 10 teams or less. But yeah, 5 on the Worryometer, which is more worried than I was when he got sent down, frankly. I don't want to overreact to a 4-game sample, but it would be nice if one of those 4 games he didn't strike out 2 times, especially since the strikeouts started to pile up during his first stint in the majors, and that really seemed to be what threw him off. From a long-term perspective, no worries at all. This is just growing pains for a guy who's should have a long and productive major league career, but I am starting to worry a little that maybe Jarred Kelenic won't be of much help to you this year in fantasy.
All right. Maybe he creates a buying opportunity for next season in fantasy baseball. For Aaron Nola, he returned. He was up against the Yankees on Tuesday, 5 1/3, 4 runs, 5 strikeouts, and this letdown of a season continues, Scott, for Aaron Nola. Where is he on the Worryometer?
So he's only like a 3, and I would still consider him one of the more obvious buy low candidates for the rest of the season. We could point to individual things that don't look right for him. He's not getting as many ground balls in the past. His ERA over his past 12 starts is 5.86, and it's 2 home runs per 9 that he's allowed during that stretch. So, you could understand more fly balls, more home runs. You can see how those goes hand in hand, and yet still the expected stats for him are so strong. I think that's pretty correctable, throwing his sinker more, whatever. I think if he digs into the numbers and really works to correct the issue, it's something he should be able to turn around pretty quickly. I don't even think with the strikeouts he's giving him, you should necessarily sit him waiting for that to happen. I think you stick with Nola. I think he does turn it around eventually, and it's possible he delivers an ace outcome the rest of the way.
Last one we'll talk about here. John Means made his return at the Tampa Bay Rays. 5 innings pitched, 7 hits, 5 earned runs, only 5 swinging strikes on 78 pitches. Spin rates were down across the board. worryometer for John Means?
Yeah, probably like a 6, which doesn't mean I'm dropping him or anything. Obviously, he was a very strong performer prior to the injury. It was nice that his velocity was where it was before the injury. But yeah, first start we've seen of him since the foreign substance crackdown. And a big key to his breakthrough last year was learning to elevate the fastball. Of course, we associate an elevated fastball with a high spin rate. So seeing the spin rate down 166 RPM on the fastball in his first start back, not an encouraging sign, but don't want to make too much of one start either. So a little worried, but still hopefully bounces back.
For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to the Fantasy Baseball Today podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, your smart speakers, or anywhere else podcasts are found. And thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. If you enjoyed the pod, please leave a 5-star review on Apple. We'll be back again tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.